It's Dragon Ball time! Hello, welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Lunch figure from the original Dragon Ball. One of the originals that was kind of completely forgotten as we moved on to Dragon Ball Z. And does she even show up in Dragon Ball Super? I don't think so. Now, Lunch is one of the fan favorites, to be honest, from the original Dragon Ball, because she did bring a lot of fan service to the table, and kind of like a weird, unique idea of whenever she sneezes, she turns blonde. When she's blue-haired, she's nice and kind, and when she's blonde, she's like angry, renegade kind of style and uncontrollable. So, kind of two figures in one. Let's have a look at how the SH Figuarts version fares. And don't forget, if you like Figma reviews, pop-up parade, some SH Figuarts, and some Tom collectibles, you should really subscribe to this channel because I cover all of that. All of it. Oh, and thank Kami that SH Figuarts included both hairstyles with one figure, because, you know, sometimes they like to recycle their figures and just deliver a different hairstyle, which would have been an absolute tragedy for this one. She stands at about 13 centimeters to the top of the back of her hair, which means we are going up to a little over 5.1 inches tall. Size comparisons. Here's Jolter, SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Goku, SH Figuarts Super Saiyan Goku, Metal Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Darkseid. I want to look in detail. I gotta say, I am pleased. They did capture the look of Lunch to perfection, but the figure is kind of like, as the fist disconnects, some a little bit loose in some parts, but we'll have a look at that later once I get to the articulation. The face sculpt really has that classic Dragon Ball look, the more rounded eyes, and completely in the black. You got the eyebrows on top, and also the big kind of headband with the giant red ribbon on the side. Ha, red ribbon. No, she's not part of that, and lots of curly stuff in the back. However, the only thing I can kind of complain about is how the hair is connected. It does stand out to me. I don't know what it is with these days with like the connection of it, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But also, yeah, this is like a lot of blue plastic just for the hair. It's a bit of a lack of paint going on with this figure once again. So it's fairly basic as it is already, and no, they did not go the extra mile. I feel like it. You have the chest, some nice fan service, the buttons are painted, and the black lines that go around it. The boobies are nicely molded, and the mold of the figure is fantastic. There is nothing to complain about that. Then we go down to the fist. The gloves are painted, have some bright brown on there, and like different shades of brown really basically going around it. And you know, I can say also what is painted actually looks clean, but it does look kind of weird. You look at the fingers and you look at the rest of the skin, it does have a different tone, right? It's just the fingers, just a small part, but you do notice it once you have a look at it because the skin's not painted and whatnot. Well, they usually don't paint skin, but it's just like, then at least try to figure out the same type of skin for the fingers. Then we go down to the hot pants, which has the belt painted on there. And again, it seems like there's a little bit of paint difference between the leg parts and the crotch parts, because the crotch part again is actually painted. The leg parts is just like orange plastic. So we do get also a butt mode, which does look nice with more fan service in there. Also look at the back, there's still some detail in there. They didn't forget about that. The butt is kind of peeking out a little bit, but it does not move out because of how the hot pants are molded. And I do like how the hot pants are molded because it helps with the articulation, and it does look fairly seamless. We go down to the boots, and a really big feet, disproportionate, but from what I can remember it was like that in the show. Also have some black and green kind of leg warmers on there. Again, the paint on it is clean, and that's all I can say about the paint. I wish there was a little bit more of it. Fun thing about the articulation, this actually completely feels like a Figma. I am really not even kidding. You can pull out the neck, so you have the ball hinge that goes into another ball that connects to the back as such. Does move back and forth nicely, does tilt side to side, but it also wiggles just completely round. But this is just like to add the articulation, also goes all the way around. And then if you get it into position, you just try to tuck it back in. Or don't, like if you tilt it side to side, it kind of stays on there. Forward, kind of have to adjust with the neck, but it does work. And again, if you're done with that, you just tuck it back in. She has a lot shorter neck, but like that, you're not really getting any articulation out of it. So, you know, I'm okay with them doing that. You have actually a ball hinge hidden under there, which is nice. It doesn't add too much to it, but I mean, it's better than nothing, so I appreciate it. Then you have the ball hinge in the shoulder, which Doesn't even have a double ball in it. Doesn't have another ball in the chest area as such. Cannot really bring it around. It's just a pack, which you can pull out. At least you got that. But still, Figma does the double ball combination over here, so you could move it back and forth. You have a little bit of wiggle motion, I feel like, but it's just minimal. Also can rotate it on the ball as well. Got the simple ball hinge in the elbow and another ball hinge in the fist, which now it stays on. I had some disconnecting issues with that. Then we got the entire torso area, which is very nimble, but also kind of floppy. I feel like it does tilt side to side, it does go back and forth, and all the way around without any trouble. The lower half, same thing for the hips. Just connected, I think, like on a ball, so you can bring that nicely around. It does leave some gaps a little bit, but you really have to push it far to get there. This just looks ugly, but then again, don't pose it like that. Also rotates all the way around for the hip part. Then for your legs, they do move forward nicely. As I told you, this moves around with it, so it looks good. I feel like from no matter what angle you kind of turn it, it does look pretty decent. Can also, well, you don't really have rotation in the leg, but in the pant part, that is, but you can rotate it down here a little bit because the hot pant part just kind of covers it, and you do get some more articulation out of that. Then you have the ball hinge in the knee, which those are pretty, you know, flimsy. Not really flimsy, but it could be a little bit tighter. We're not fans of having noodle necks because I can just move it around with one finger, and I think like that's you know, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I just want to mention it. Then you have the, there's no swivel over here, which they could have done, but I guess it wouldn't have accomplished that much. Then you have a big ball hinge for your shoe, goes up and down, rotates to the side, and finally you got the toe hinge, which doesn't really do anything. I'm not a big fan of toe hinges, but it's there. Now for the accessories, it's super duper basic, and there's one star Dragon Ball in the box. I'm gonna keep it in the box because if I fumble around with it, it's gonna fall down and I'm never gonna find it back. We got the blonde hair with the smug look on it. It looks nice, you know, the eyes, everything is accurate. It's a lot sharper, and you got the blonde with the red ribbon still in the hair. And the mold, actually, nice detail, but still very plasticky looking because of the paint. There is no paint. I also like the yellow in the face. It's a lot different from the yellow on the hair. It's actually a lot more vibrant and even a little bit darker. So it's a common theme. Then you got the only other blonde face is like an angry face, which still looks great. I mean, I do love the designs of it, the choices for it. And then you have a happy smiling face, and of course the sneezing face, because when she sneezes, she turns. Then you got an Uzi for some GTA. Blah, blah. Yeah, it's nicely molded. It actually looks fairly realistic for something like Dragon. Well, Dragon Ball did look, especially like the original Dragon Ball, I think like had some more realistic touches to it, like with guns and whatnot. And then you have for your hands, not really a lot, like one trigger finger hand and one open, somewhat holding hand, probably for the Dragon Ball. Hands gone. It fell down into the void. There's actually a black hole under this table. And then you got the relaxed hands, and that's it already. Final thoughts, and I gotta admit this one is a bit of a tough one, because on one hand I like the design, I like the figure, I like the idea, I like that we're getting a lunch, but on the other hand, it's such a painfully basic figure that it almost hurts. So what does that mean for lunch fans? I do recommend this figure because it doesn't really have any inherent flaws other than some kind of paint problems where it doesn't really, the paint tones don't really line up because one part is painted, the other one's just plastic. And that will happen. It's not the worst thing in the world, and it's not as noticeable, but it's still there. And on the other hand, you get all the parts you really need for lunch. But that being said, since the main figure is so basic, they didn't even have a lot of paint added to it, so he could have really, you know, stepped it up maybe in the accessories. They could have done something special, but they didn't. They were like, here's lunch, have it, take it or leave it, and that's kind of how I see this release. And also it comes in at like a 60, 70, maybe even 80 bucks depending on where you get it, which I thought like was kind of expensive for like, again, such a simple release. We have these kind of Goku releases where they just re-release a Goku, they do some small changes to it, and he only costs like 30, 40, maybe 50 bucks, and I'm okay with that. If this figure would have been at that same price point, I would have been like, sure, get it. There's nothing really, you don't really lose much from it, but because of the price point, I still kind of like, That's where I'm going to wrap it up, because otherwise I'll just ramble on for the next 10 minutes. That's going to do it as usual. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever lunch wants.